G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, episode 140, the last episode of the year. And of course, we have a lot to talk about today. We're going to be giving, yet again, another injury update and news update regarding the AFL. We'll also be taking a look at clubs' age profile going into 2026, along with my brother's ladder predictions for the new year. Way too early predictions. We love to do that sort of stuff here on the podcast and on the channel. We'll also be covering some world sport with the cricket and the soccer. Let's not waste any more of your time. Let's roll the intro and get straight into it. Welcome to the Boundary Riders podcast, your one-stop shop for all your AFL content needs. He looks at his options and Jack Ginnivan says, "Boys, you brought me to the club to do just this." But this guy has flog written all over him. From attack down, Reed sprints away from Petrarca, leaves him in his wake, takes a second bounce, takes a third. The sheer arrogance of Harley Reid. Finish the job, young man. So let's get into the footy news from the week that was. So guys, my brother is here with me, of course, with the last episode of the year. So yeah, I'll pretty much bring that up first of all. I think, guys, we'll probably just end, this will be the final episode of the year just because the next couple of weeks, obviously with Christmas and stuff, I don't think there'll be enough footy stuff to really talk about in my eyes. But I mean, it's been a good year on the channel front. I don't know if you've looked too much on the YouTube and the podcast and stuff, but we've done pretty well.
Yeah, we've been, growing consistently, you'd say, over...
Yeah, I mean, the podcast, I think, has got nearly 20-odd followers now, and we get consistent views. The last episode on YouTube got nearly 400 views, so I don't know why the hell people want to listen to us talk about sport and football, but we must be doing something right anyway.
Yeah, we must have some sort of knowledge, I guess.
Oh, I don't know about that. Anyway.
We have very strong opinions, I'll give us.
Very strong opinions, yes. I mean, I think we're better than Dan Gorringe and all those podcasts out there. I mean, I think we're on par.
Yeah, good handicap, I reckon.
Yeah, give us a bit of a handicap. But anyway, there were a couple of injury news topics on the in the AFL earlier in the week. We did have an injury concern regarding Malachi Champion of the West Coast Eagles left the field, which what appears to be a leg injury at training. He did eventually walk off without aid, but headed straight to the rooms. After further assessment, he avoided any serious injury with the knee scare last week, and the Eagles did confirm that he suffered a low-grade damage to the medial collateral ligament. I don't know what that is. An MCL, I will say. Jack Hutchinson faces a battle to be ready for round one after requiring surgery on a stress fracture to his ankle. So not great news there for the West Coast Eagles, but not exactly like... I mean, Jack Hutchinson played a bit last year, but not exactly the best 22 players, so yeah, not the worst.
Well, there's been hypes on that Malachi Champion by the Eagles last year.
What a name.
Yeah, but I think it's more the name, to be honest, don't you think?
Yeah, it's more the name. I mean,
yeah, it's a fucking killer name, but...
let's hope he actually becomes an actual player that we can watch for years to come. But anyway, at the moment, not really. A lot of talk about him outside of maybe a couple of West Coast Eagles supporters. There has been some news today regarding Mark Pidnett for Carlton. Has been released from hospital after spending 2 nights recovering from a fractured larynx, which I think is something to do with the throat.
Yeah, the same thing that Max Gawn had earlier this year.
Yeah, he suffered this on Carlton training on Friday, has avoided surgery, expected to make a full recovery. So good news there on that front. On some news, first of all, the AFL has proposed any intentional strike to an opposition player should be graded as a medium impact from 2026 onwards. It would move incidents like stomach punches from fines up to a 1-match ban. So you did send me this. What were your initial thoughts?
It's the same reaction you gave when it's like, so it's going to be a game for every other player until it comes into consideration late in the year when a Brownlow favourite comes into consideration, and it's like, how do we get this guy off? Because you just know that when Nick Dacos is getting tagged during the year, he'll do it out of retaliation. What happens?
Exactly.
Because are they going to give him a week? I doubt it.
Yeah, I doubt they give Nick Dacos a week for hitting someone in the stomach. But I mean, overall, I think it is a good change. It should be a thing.
Yeah,
we shouldn't be seeing players getting hit behind the ball, hitting in the stomach and stuff. It's not good.
No, yeah, unless if it's a poor player doing it late in the game. I think late in the game, a winning game. But yeah, I think it's not really a shock from me that it's come into effect because they've been wanting to try and stand this out for years.
Yeah,
and I think that Greg Swan's done has needed to bring this one in as well, as much as he's done the other changes so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's made some pretty big changes already into the footy. So I think there's going to be a lot to come. Probably not much more, I would say, but there has been a lot that's going to be changing the game a lot next year. I just hope that they do a bit of an overhaul of the MRO as a whole, because the amount of suspensions we've seen over the last 6, 12, 18, 24 months, or even longer than that, really, but of just like ridiculous sort of incidents that have been giving 3 weeks, like Paul Curtis last year, and then pretty much the identical incident happened and it's given 0 weeks.
Yeah,
I think it's just a bit ridiculous, and I hope that is something that Greg Swan is focused on as well going into next year. But I mean, I feel like we're probably asking for a lot.
I think that that's more of going to be a in-season thing. I think that's how they try not to do it, but they're going to do that during in-season. It seems like it. I think Greg Swan needs to will want to see the adjustment to it over the course, and if not, it will be a change at the end of next year. To be honest.
Yeah. Well, I mean, does Michael Christian still have the job? I don't even know. I don't know how he must have some dirt on something.
Oh, he's got it because you never hear from him. Yeah, he just says, "Oh yeah, that's 3 weeks." Paul Curtis, and just imagine if Paul Curtis played the year, he would have been All Australian easily.
Yeah,
he would have
thought so. After that suspension as well, it felt like his season kind of came off at that point as well.
Yeah.
Just on another news as well, AFL Paradise over on Instagram put a little graphic together regarding the players still out of contract for 2026, which include Tom Mitchell from Collingwood, Will Phillips, and Will Phillips from North Melbourne, Stevenson, of course, North Melbourne as well, Jack Billings from Melbourne, McIntosh from Richmond, Oleg Markov from Collingwood as well, Ben Hobbs from Essendon, and Jack Petruccelli from West Coast. Probably a couple more you could rattle off as well. So I think Will Phillips has been doing. It potentially could be. I think it was talk about West Coast at some point in the year. There's been a couple of other clubs that have looked at him. I think he was training with St Kilda at some point.
Yeah.
So maybe he'll get a go. Jaden Stevenson obviously training with Port Adelaide at the moment. We've talked about that quite a bit. Jack Billings has got a new job at Western Bulldogs now as a development coach of some sort. Camden McIntosh, I'm a bit surprised, has been looked at by a couple of clubs like Perth
teams. I think West Coast, because I know he's from Perth. I'm surprised that West Coast didn't really look at him.
Yeah, I mean he's a bit old, but I mean I think he definitely brings some sort of like experience to the team anyway. Ben Hobbs did surprise me a little bit
because he went to Port Melbourne, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's been signed up by Port Melbourne. Oleg Markov, I'd be surprised. Tom Mitchell as well. I feel like we would have heard something at this point.
Yeah, I think Tom Mitchell and Oleg and Markov are just they kind of passed it in this kind of AFL era.
Yeah,
like that's why.
Markov I feel like could have, but I think for him personally, I don't think he'd go to another state. I don't think, especially Tom Mitchell as well, I don't think would go to another state either.
Yeah, even though he said he would, I don't think he really wanted to.
Yeah, I feel like with what he's got, the ventures that he has in Victoria, I feel like there's not really much point. I mean, you feel like you get a similar amount of money for what he'd be doing now. Probably. I mean, more money.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I don't know. I mean, what would he be signed as a rookie? What's the base rate now? Like 100K?
I think it's 100. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, is he going to get that much more to root his whole life somewhere else? I don't think that's probably any point.
No, he wouldn't.
Jack Petruccelli did have some talk regarding Carlton in around the trade period time. So, I haven't really heard much about him, though. So, out of anyone, I think Jaden Stevenson's probably the one that I think gets signed by Port Adelaide.
Yeah, and I think Will Phillips will get looked. I wouldn't be surprised if because you said he's at St Kilda. I think he could get signed up.
Maybe,
but I think out of anyone, it's funny that Jaden Stevenson, who's missed a whole year of football at the elite level, could be the only one. Yeah, could be the one signed up.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think from all signs, it looks like Jaden Stevenson's doing really well. So hopefully he gets a good go at it. Now, I did want to take a look at these bits of information regarding teams losing games of experience and the average age of what team are going to be going into as of 2026 next year. At some point, I think it's round 1. So looking at the Gold Coast, they have actually lost the most amount of games heading into 2026. With all the players that have left and retired and all that sort of stuff, they lost 1,110 games of experience.
Yeah.
That is a lot. Now, they did gain a lot as well in this off-season.
Yeah.
So, I don't think it brings them back, but it does show that, like, even though they did like lose a lot, a lot of people are considering them as they should be able to go back to finals again.
Yeah. I think it's. I've never liked to lose that much experience, but Gold Coast are a little bit different because the fact is that they have got in a Petrarca, they've got in a Jamari Hagen who has so much potential. They've got in some academy kids.
Yeah.
It's not like if it was a Melbourne-based team or something like that.
Yeah.
It's they've got stability at the moment. So it's for a weird reason that Gold Coast, it's not really going to hamper them. You wouldn't think.
No, I wouldn't think so either, but it is very interesting they lost that much. Essendon, not too much of a surprise that they're up there. They've lost 1,034 games of experience with Todd Goldstein, Dylan Shield, bunch of others as well.
And then injuries have already.
Yeah, I don't think they count injuries here, but that probably
gets
another
to
200.
about another 200 people. Yeah, 200 games.
Port Adelaide have lost quite a lot as well. They're third on this list with 1,017 games of experience lost. Obviously, Travis Boak takes a lot of
that 300 games there.
Yeah, but
So it's a little surprising, to be honest. Who else did we get? Who else did we lose?
I don't really know. Who else did Port Adelaide lose?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I guess there's not a lot of other experience anywhere else. I mean, they did list a few players, but yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's surprising that it is that far up.
I mean, Rory Atkins, what a loss.
What a loss. Yeah, so it's very interesting to see that every year when it comes up. And
I mean, West Coast Eagles lost 908 games of expence.
Yeah, because McGovern and
Oscar Allen
leaving and stuff like that. So it is, with a team that is so young in a rebuilding phase, you don't really want to lose that much experience. So it's really hard to see them going up.
Or maybe they're moving in the right direction. Because for a long time, they've just held on to these players and they've done nothing with them. So maybe this may help. Hopefully, anyway.
And give them the realization that they actually are going into a rebuild phase.
Yeah. Now, before we get to the teams down the bottom of this list, Collingwood is up next at 901 games of lost experience. Now, we saw Mason Cox, Tom Mitchell, Oleg Markov as well. So they did lose a lot of experience, but when we get to this next graphic, talking about the average games on everyone's list, it's not a lot. Like Collingwood losing all that experience, they still have so much on there, and they're still such an old team.
Yeah, I think it's not a mistake to keep a Pendlebury and a Sidebottom, but they have an Elliott, to be honest. But they've got maybe that's nearly close to 1,000 games experience from those three players.
Yeah.
That's a lot of experience, and there's not a lot of youth coming through.
Yeah, that's the big concern. The fact there's no youth coming. I mean, there are a couple, but there's not a Gold Coast level. There's not a Brisbane level players that are getting experience. It's not there.
Yeah, and this was their problem last year, late in the season, is that they started so well, and that you just saw their decline happen. And they did get into finals. They did get to a prelim, but.
I mean, they beat the team that was the team that went out straight sets.
Yeah, they beat a team that went out straight sets. Pendlebury carried an injury through the final series.
Yeah,
it's not what you really want, and it's going to be interesting how they go this year.
Yeah, and the players that are still there, like DeGoey and that, they've got a lot of games of experience as well, but we haven't seen him consistently on the field in 2 or 3 years now. So it's going to be interesting to see how Collingwood go next year. A couple of other teams down the list. You got Carlton. Melbourne surprisingly aren't as high as I thought. 826 games of experience, but a lot of them are there, like been their A graders for years. So a big change. Yeah. You got the Bulldogs after that. Fremantle, Hawthorn, St Kilda. Then down the list, this is at 13th spot as Brisbane. So haven't lost any games of experience. They're going to be up there again.
They just gained more.
Yeah.
They just gained everything.
Crows are okay with 670. Sydney is 645, so not too much loss there. Geelong at 557, still holding on to a lot of their older players. Giants only 492. Richmond at 379, and then North Melbourne have lost the least amount of games experience in 312. So looking at North Melbourne, they are moving forward on a team that they think are going to make them go up. So they're going to have to start going up.
Well, they are very interesting, North Melbourne, because they didn't get anyone in the trade period. They didn't.
I mean, they got Charlie Spargo.
They lost one player in Finbar Maley, like a level pegging, right? Probably.
Oh, I mean, on the height scale, yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like, Yeah,
They didn't lose a lot.
They're the biggest insight this year of see that they have to go up. If they don't, the hot seat's on bloody Clarkson.
Yeah, I think maybe in probably next year, we'll already start talking about coaches under most pressure as well. But looking at the graphic, I want to take a look at as well is the average number of games played on the list. So Collingwood are up the top, not a surprise. They're 94.7. And I mean, you think about it as well. The players that they lost, we see that they lost 901 games of experience, and they've still got the most by the competition by 6 games than anyone else. Yeah. So I think that they're going to be a team that they have to do something this year.
Yeah.
So interesting watch. Geelong are second, not surprising, 89. Brisbane are 88, and then Sydney are 84. So Sydney need to rise. That's basically the point. Yeah. They've still got the list there. They've got enough experience. Carlton, despite losing a couple in the off-season, they're up there with 79. And then you got Melbourne, Giants, St Kilda. Interesting. Bulldogs, Adelaide, and then interestingly enough, North Melbourne. So North Melbourne, they're not high, but they are above teams like Hawthorn, Gold Coast, Fremantle, and Port Adelaide. So they should be around the mark. They should be rising now.
Yeah, North Melbourne, they're coming into what? So based on the graphic, there's 72 games of experience average.
Yeah.
But that's when you should be heading into your prime, coming up with the big of the group of players that you think are going to make finals.
Now, I guess you look at it a little bit. There are a couple of really high experienced players there. You've got Luke Parker. You've got Caleb Daniel be up there around 200 games now. Jai Simpkins up there.
Yeah.
There'd be a couple more as well. But it's very interesting to see that North Melbourne, the teams down the bottom of that list are Essendon, Richmond, West Coast. They need to finish higher than those 3.
Yeah.
And then, even though Melbourne are up there, they've got a whole new list. They should be finishing higher than Melbourne.
Yeah, Melbourne are a very different graphic because Gawn, Viney, May, Lever,
even teams like Myercheck they brought in.
Yeah, Myercheck they brought in and stuff like that. There's a lot of high-end talent, games experience, but there's a lot of youth coming through. It's very different to a North Melbourne who really, they have a few games of experience. They've
also got a very... the fact they didn't lose anyone or bring anyone in, really, they've got a core of a team.
Yeah.
Melbourne have had to basically make a new, not make a new team, but they've made in the last few years, there's been a lot of turnover at the Demons.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's going to be very interesting. So yeah, they have to rise, North Melbourne.
Yeah. Well, speaking of that, a couple of weeks ago, I did a video on the main channel going through basically my ladder predictions and going through every single game of the 2026. You've gone through yours. So first of all, let's get to your ladder predictions for 2026, and then we're going to take a look at a couple of teams in depth. So what is your December edition, way too early predictions for the ladder of 2026?
All right, so at 1, we've got the Brisbane Lions. At 2, we've got Hawthorn. 3, we've got Fremantle. 4, we've got Geelong. 5, we've got the Bulldogs. And 6, we've got at Adelaide. Then we get into the wildcard spots. 7, we've got Gold Coast. 8, we've got the Swans. 9, we've got the Giants. And 10, we've got the St Kilda. Then the teams that didn't make finals. 11 is Collingwood. 12 is Carlton. 13 is Port Adelaide. 14th is North Melbourne. 15th is Melbourne. 16th is Richmond. 17th is Essendon. And 18th is the Eagles.
Okay, so there are a couple of teams I want to take a look at first of all, because we do have a few differences. Not a lot, but a few. So first of all, I have to mention the Bulldogs. So you're looking at the Bulldogs and you've put them in 5th position. That's pretty high up there. What is the Bulldogs? What are you bringing you up the Bulldogs there?
Really, it's the fact is that they have a lot of games at the Marvel next year as well. Like, I've got them winning most of their games there. They smash every team there. They're great under the lid. And I think if Marcus Bontempelli can start the season and play a full year, there's no reason they can't make the top 5. Okay.
Because that's the top. Because I've got them in 10th, just scraping through into the playoff spot. So I really don't give them a massive... I mean, I'm not saying they can't do it, but I think we overestimate the Bulldogs every single year. They disappoint every year as well.
I think also that... I think this is Beveridge's last chance to get their defense in good nick. Because if he doesn't make finals, he's gone.
That should be their whole preseason working on the defense.
Yeah, I think and he's got to try something different. He didn't really, he hasn't really brought in anybody to try and change it. So it's got to be on that group that's there. And they've lost to Liam Jones. They got rid of him.
Yeah, they said that he's not good. He's not good enough.
So yeah, they've got to try something, and it's going to be interesting. So they could, to be honest, they could be in the top 6. But as with you, they could be out of the top. They may just slip into playoffs.
Yeah. Well, I mean, playoffs going to play a big point into this year's season as well. Now you've got Brisbane up the top and Hawthorn in second. I've got Hawthorn in second. I've got Hawthorn up the top, Brisbane in second. So we're both expecting that those two are going to be the teams that are fighting it out as the 2 best teams next year.
Yeah.
So what is Hawthorn? What jumps out to you about the Hawks?
Let me get them. I think Sam Mitchell, he's gotten better every year. He's starting to win a few games. They've got the defense now with the Battle and Barras in there. They've got a Josh Weddle who's the utility. They need some way to get Will Day to play a full season. At least he's got to play 17, 18 games. I just like how Sam Mitchell's gone about it, really.
Yeah.
They've decided to play Nick Watson through the midfield, a bit of X factor. I like the move. I don't really understand it, but I like that he's trying to figure out something, trying to do something different. He can bring that X factor.
I mean, you could definitely see a way where he could be almost like that Cozzy Pickett for Melbourne last year.
Yeah.
Just add some sort of pace through there. Because I think maybe Hawthorn, with the loss of James Worpel, as well, they will probably try something different through that midfield. You got Josh Weddle already training with the midfield group. Like you said, Nick Watson. Wouldn't be too surprised if they try something different through there.
Yeah, because not that it was a mosquito fleet up front and the top, the 4-headed monster, if you want to go, or 3-headed monster. They've got to figure that out. So Sam Mitchell's decided to chuck some of their, Nick Watson into the midfield, Weddle in there, trying to make it mix it up a bit, which could be a masterstroke. Because let's be honest, like if Will Day does go down again, which is very high possibility, they've got to try something different because that's what they lacked, that different type of player, because they
feel like I think that's obviously the reason why they went hard for Zach Merritt in the off season, is because they do lack that midfielder.
Yeah,
I think that extra midfielder, Jai Newcomb is an A grader, but I think that like classy A grader, they kind of lack that.
Yeah,
Will Day is the guy, but he hasn't been fit enough to do it.
So they've got to try something different with the failed attempt at Merritt. They've got to try something. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, I think that could be a good move. So you think that like the Sam Mitchell improvement just continues on next year?
I think it's got to. Like he seems like a coach who's not gonna go anything but perfection, really.
Yeah, I think if he had a Zach Merritt type, I'd be very much to say that they'd be up there with the premiership favourites right now. I still sit on Brisbane, but I think they could definitely be up there.
Yeah,
as the season goes forward. Now, one team that you have in a playoff spot that I did not is St Kilda. So St Kilda, you're expecting with the recruits that they're on the rise next year?
Yeah, but I think based on my I think that they just have to. It's just going to be interesting because it's the fact is that do they gel? That's always been a fact in any sport, is if you bring in so many players in one go, are they going to gel? We've seen it in different sports that it works in some ways and in other ways it doesn't. And if it doesn't, the scrutiny goes, especially in the AFL, it goes on the coach. It doesn't go on the players as much. So it's a big risk for St Kilda, who haven't really done anything in the last 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, they made finals in 2020 and 2022?
Yeah, well, one of those, yeah.
Yeah.
But they weren't, there wasn't pressure on them, really. They went with a free swing, and they didn't, But now they actually have a bit of pressure on them.
Yeah, so that's the problem. Like they brought up the fact that like they didn't get all these father sons and all this sort of stuff, and this is how they're going to improve. They're going to splash for cash and improve that way. So they kind of have to. I agree with you. But 10th position, from last year, they've had the last couple of years, they've had really poor starts, and then they've improved in the second half of the campaign, and everyone's like, okay, well, they're going to show some improvement. And then we sit here in the buy, we hit the buys, and we're like, oh, St Kilda are down the bottom again. Yeah. They're an irrelevant team.
And then they come, and like you said, they come back from the buy and they win, like, basically 90% of the games to finish the season.
Yeah.
And, we're like, oh, this is going to be the improvement.
Yeah.
Well, this is when they have to now. They actually have to.
Yeah. Well, I think something we did see at the second half of the year as well was the emergence of Nasiah.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yes, we saw him in that game against Melbourne and robbed of 3 votes, but can he go to another level? That's interesting. He did get a new contract, which is massive. Sometimes that can affect players and they don't improve. They kind of just sit on their morals saying, well, I'm getting paid the big bucks. I feel like that's not him, though. I think that he's going to improve. I think he can. And a lot of people are saying now that he could potentially be up there as a potential Brownlow player, Brownlow medalist. So if he can if he can go to that next level, that consistency, if he can show that for the entire year, I think he definitely can be.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be interesting. Obviously, the reason I do have them sort of high, or well, sort of low is a bit low. I just don't trust them in the big game yet. That's the thing, is that I don't trust them in the big game. That's why I don't have them as high as what really I think they should be. But what helps them is we've all seen through the fixture, they get like the last 10 games at home.
Yeah, they don't leave Victoria.
They don't leave Victoria. So that could give them some bit of momentum as well.
Yeah. Now you've got below St Kilda, Collingwood. So you're saying they missed the wild card spot. So that's pretty big from a team that made a prelim final and beat the minor premiers in the final series.
Yeah.
You're seeing the drop off.
I am. I don't see any experience. I don't see any youth coming through that is going to be there. Let's be honest. You know, their forward line, I don't trust it. I don't see Jamie Elliott kicking 60 goals again. Don't see it. They don't have the big bustling forward. They lost to Mychek, who's a workhorse, and they're relying it on being McStay.
Who was not even in their best team at the end of the year.
Yeah, he wasn't in their best. They dropped him at the final series for Mason Cox. Well, they got rid of him as well.
Yeah.
So what's their forward line going to really look like? They brought in the Swans forward. Well, he's played 6 games?
He's played 10 games, 11 goals.
Yeah, it's like that's not really what you need.
Yeah.
You know,
their defense is still shaky. I mean, they're relying on Jeremy Howe, and Darcy Moore had his best game of his almost career against the Crows in that qualifying final.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that, well, if they don't have Jeremy Howe, it exposes Darcy Moore more. Yeah. And if you lose the experience of a Pendlebury and a Sidebottom, which, let's be honest, Pendlebury is staying just to beat the record. Let's just put it out there.
Well, you don't think he deserves a spot?
Oh, I think he does, but I think once I wouldn't be surprised if he gets to the last game, beats the record, and he retires the next week. I would not be surprised.
Oh, I don't know about that. I think he's still one of their best players, which I think is also a downfall on their team.
Yeah. The thing that will help them is the fact is that they always have a big crowd at the MCG. They'll get 60, 70, 80,000 every home game, which can be intimidating to a lot of teams.
Yeah.
But I don't trust their forward line to kick a consistent amount of goals. And
I mean, Bobby Hill returning, as far as we can tell, will be a big change.
Yeah.
He was out for a lot of last year, and I think that him back will definitely improve the Pies a lot. But I do agree with you. With no key forward that's like going to kick them 40-plus goals. Membry, I think, is past it. McStay, I can't see him kicking 40 goals. Buller, he's kicked 11 goals in 10 games of football. They brought him in. No offense to him. He could be a very good player, but he's not going to be better than Mychek this year. I think Mychek kicks more goals than Buller.
Yeah.
And that's at a Melbourne as well, who struggle to kick goals. So where are they going to get a 40... Other than maybe Jamie Elliott, who's only done it once in his career, by the way, who's going to kick them 40-plus goals? Because you're going to need multiple of them, and they don't really have many goal-kicking midfielders other than maybe Jordan DeGoey.
Yeah, and
Nick Dacos has improved his craft a bit, but that's it.
And that's also the thing is with DeGoey is that he hasn't played a consistent season since the premiership.
Yeah. So
the
Collingwood cliff has come. It's come. It's over.
You can say it's like, oh, what's not going to happen? Well, I was right about 2 years ago when I said Melbourne were going to decline, and they declined.
Oh,
I was right. So that's...
And no one believed you.
No one believed me. And I came back at the end of the year, and I was right.
You're always... So, guys, we're basically just leaking. You've leaked...
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah.
Now, we'll move to your team quickly, Port Adelaide. We both say they're going to miss the wild card spot, even though the Power, they have if not the easiest draw, the second easiest draw of the competition next year.
Yeah.
So, you haven't put them in the 8.
Yeah.
So... You haven't put them in the 10. You were saying that the pass should be the finals.
It should be, but I think we'll win the first 4 games of the season. We have North Melbourne, Essendon, Eagles, and Richmond.
Or if they don't win the first 4 games,
we should be having momentum going into the gather round against St Kilda. But I think I just don't believe we have the defense to be consistent enough. The forward line is good, but also our midfield is that we have the big 3 in Horn Francis, Butters, and Rosie. And Rosie's, I think, will come into the midfield this year. I think that
Surely
Carr will want him in. But the big brutes in Willem Drew, Wines, it's not. I just don't believe that when we play against the big sides, the big contested sides, we always seem to drop off. Against the good sides, we always drop off. Against the shitty sides, we always perform. And that's why we'll get those wins against the shit sides. Luckily, we're playing them. That's why we'll get wins. But against the big sides, we've always choked in a way. So I don't think we're going to win more than 10 games.
Yeah. So looking at, even though the fixture favours Port Adelaide, you think 10 games is probably that's where the Port Adelaide are going to struggle against those big teams. I mean, that's fair. I think the Port Adelaide, I'd picked them outside the playoff spots as well, but I think after the first 6 rounds or something, I had them up in the top 4.
Yeah, that's what I had them. I had the first 4 teams, and I had them finish. They were on top based on such percentage.
Yeah. So I mean, I can see. I mean, for Port Adelaide, their path should be at least a wild card spot. That is more than fair, but it's going to be tough, especially with the uncertainty. There is a new coach. It's interesting to see how that goes. We saw the Swans drop off a lot, so maybe after a year of Josh Carr, maybe they do improve.
And then but then you look at a rich, the youth of the team can actually benefit you, but it also late in the year when they're starting to get tired, that's when you may decline.
Yeah,
and that's the thing is that if Port Adelaide are in a good spot, they might be able to keep it going. But if they're not, those young players, through experience, through lack of experience, may hamper them.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to take a look at is, well, sort of Essendon, but more West Coast. So you've got them finishing rock bottom again.
Yeah, this is where my other prediction of that I was right about Melbourne a couple of years ago will happen with Essendon. As you just pointed out, they've got the second least, and West Coast have both got the bottom 2 lack of experience teams. Essendon have already lost 3 players already through injury, which coming into a pre-season is not great. And
they've also just re-signed Will Setterfield as a SSP player, a player that they didn't rate enough to keep on the list.
Yeah,
they've had to bring back almost like tail in between their legs and get him back in the team, which, by the way, I thought was wrong. I almost thought he was in their best 23 in mid-year and one of the better players for Essendon, and now they've had to re-sign him because, well, just to cover.
Yeah.
So they've already said their captaincy, Zach Merritt's resigned as captain. That's going to be picked up shortly. I feel like it's going to be Andy McGrath. But there's so much change at Essendon, and it seems like they're in a bit of a rebuild now. Yes, it's probably not the great spot for them, but I think they are in a right direction. They've got some really good young players. They just need them on the field.
Yeah, that's the thing, is that if they have them on the field, they may do something. But I just don't think they do. Yeah. And with all this merit stuff, I think he's going to be a big distraction all year. Yeah. It doesn't matter what happens.
Because he doesn't seem like he's re-signing, or he's like committed.
He's not committed, let's be honest. I'll be shocked if he does it in any interviews, really. Yeah. To be honest. Well, once they get rid of the captaincy, he's not going to front the media at all. Yeah. I just don't think that's going to work. And with the fact is that West Coast as well, is that's also, they've lost McGovern and a few other experienced players. They've got Oscar Allen leaving as well. They're putting a lot of faith in Jake Waterman to come back, who was injured most of this year. Job Shanahan, who's played a handful of games.
Does look good, but I think it does look good. Tough to make him the second forward now.
Yeah. Their defense is very shaky without McGovern.
I mean, they did bring in Tyler Young and Brendan Starskovich, so there is some hope. I personally think that West Coast are moving in the right direction, but I can't see them winning more than 2 or 3 games.
No.
And I don't think, now looking back at it, even though we made that pass marks video maybe a month ago now, I don't think wins is going to be a big thing for West Coast, as long as they show some consistency, some improvement, and they don't get flogged every 3 weeks.
Yeah.
If they can sort of move into an era of like Richmond this last season, how they didn't really get thrashed. They got thrashed like 2 or 3 times throughout the whole season, but they didn't get beaten by more than like 50 points much. Yeah. So if they can play better defensively, they show some real improvement with their young players. If Harley Reid can come, because all things considered, it looks like he's shown some more maturity this off-season. Looks like he's ready to improve. Killer haircut, love it. If Willem Dersma can come in his first year and shine, they can get some games into a couple of young guys like the young Ruckman, Cooper Duff-Tytler. If Josh Lindsay can play some good games, if they're experienced players that they've brought in like Young and Starskovic play well, if they show some improvement and snatch a couple of wins, I think that's all they can do.
They need more than one win. They just need to get. They need at least 2 wins, to be honest, because
one win in a season is terrible.
Yeah, and they really, let's be honest, it should not have been St Kilda.
Yeah,
they really should have been no wins.
Yeah, really. I mean, St Kilda played dreadfully in that game. Yeah. I mean, they had games against North Melbourne in WA. They didn't win.
Yeah,
they've had other games in WA where they need to start. I mean, it's obviously very hard to make it a fortress when they're like this down, but they need to start playing better at home.
Yeah,
because that's where the WA teams get their best advantage, is winning games at home. Obviously, in every interstate club, but especially the teams in WA.
Yeah,
if you can play better at home, make it a danger game when you're heading over to WA, and if they can start making the narrative change from they're an easy beat every week to this could be a bit of a danger game. Yeah, I think that's a huge pass for the Eagles. They need to do that. Honestly, I have more faith in West Coast this year than Essendon, but I don't have any trust in West Coast to win games.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. Is that West? I just that both of them are they're interesting to see which way, especially Essendon go, because there's already pressure on Brad Scott. Does that change?
Yeah,
because I don't think it does if they keep losing.
Yeah, they can't finish 17th and have no improvement no matter what happens. With how he's got, he came in to basically make this team better, but with Ben Rutten gone, and they've gone down.
Yeah.
So now they've gone into a stage of almost a rebuild, but they've still got enough there. They should be winning more than 2 games than what you've predicted and what I've predicted, 17th position. But I feel like that's a fair prediction of where they're at the moment, with their injury concerns as well. But yeah, that's basically all out of predictions so far. So you've got who's your premiership choice at this moment with the prediction? I think it was the same as mine.
Yeah, I went with where did I go? Brisbane. So I've went with Brisbane Hawthorn Grand Final and Brisbane to win it.
You thinking the three-peat? I'm going with the three-peat as well.
I think kind of maybe a bit of a storyline just to, because last time the three-peat happened was Hawthorn.
Yeah.
I don't really remember it. Really, you do remember it, but I would like to see it again.
I mean, if honestly, out of any, the three-peat of Hawthorn, I was like, oh, get over it. But Brisbane, I'm like, because we grew up watching them in those early 2000s, 2010s, and this team sucks.
Yeah.
No one likes them. Not no one likes them, but no one rates them whatsoever.
Yeah.
The fact they've done so much and they've improved and made it a destination club, made it a club to love to watch. If they do it, I wouldn't be as disappointed as a big Collingwood or a big Hawthorn or Geelong doing it.
Yeah.
So, if my team can't win it, I wouldn't mind seeing Brisbane do it. I've predicted them to win it as well. They won a second premiership in a row, and they've improved their team even more.
Yeah.
Usually at this point, teams start to lose players going to different clubs. Brisbane keep on going up. So I think, why can't they do it again?
Exactly.
So those are our predictions for 2026, guys. Way too early predictions. We'll probably do one a little bit more closer to the season, maybe early March, late February. So make sure to stay tuned for the podcast and the channel. But that's pretty much all the footy stuff we have for the year. So again, thank you so much for all the support throughout 2025, guys. We really do appreciate it. But finally, we'll get to a bit of world sport, and we'll start with the cricket. So Big Bash has just started. We've got a couple of games already gone. Renegades won. Good knock from Tom Seifert. Just out of nowhere, just smacks 100 out of nothing. And then the shortened game between the Thunder and the Scorchers. Scorchers winner, opener again.
The Sixers.
Oh, Sixers and the... Wait, no, it wasn't.
Scorchers, yeah.
Oh, I thought it was the Thunder.
No,
I'm dumb. Sorry. Thunder and Sixers and the Scorchers. So Scorchers win again, another opener. I think they win. I don't think they've lost an opener, their opening game, in 6 years. 6 BBL. So they're going to be hard to beat again, unfortunately. I mean, it's all good for Perth Scorchers, but they always seem that team. They're that team that's always consistently doing well in the BBL. Yeah. So, but we have got some news regarding the Ashes squads teams going into the third test in Adelaide starting
Wednesday,
which is tomorrow or today when you guys are watching. So England have made one change, which is weird because they're 2-0 down. They've made the change of Gus Atkinson out for Josh Tongue, the spinner, I believe.
No, fast bowler.
I don't know. Fucking hell, idiot. Anyway, Josh Tongue, have you know much about him?
He'll bring a bit of more pace, and but he won't give them. I don't think he'll give more consistent bowling like a Gus Atkinson will. I'm surprised Carr survived because after he bowled, he was horrible.
Yeah.
And I don't know why they're still going with the same 6 as batters. Because let's be honest, the only one who scored runs consistently is Joe Root.
Yeah. Well, I mean, sort of. I mean, he's got 100, but I mean,
he's got the second most runs in the series.
Yeah, because he scored 100.
Yeah,
because he scored 100.
Still, but
I mean, yes, he's been their best for England, but I mean, if you pick pick the best 8 batsmen of this series, I think maybe one England player makes it.
I'm still so surprised that both the openers have survived. They
true.
A Duckett, even though that Crawley's got a pair in the first test, he looks a bit more consistent. Like he still looks like he can take it away from Australia. Because he's not like a Duckett who just throws the bat at everything.
Yeah.
A Duckett, if you do that in Australia, as we've always said, you don't drive on the up. You never drive on the up.
Yeah.
And that's all he does is just smack it. And that's not you're not going to be consistent in Australia.
Well, he's kind of like the definition of Bazball.
Yeah.
We've shown it hasn't worked.
Yeah. And
unless you had Travis Head.
Yeah.
The bit of Trav ball. Australia have made 2 changes, it does seem, for the third test. It seems at this stage that Cummins and Lyon are both back in. Well, Lyon obviously back in. Cummins in for his first test of the series. Doggett and Neser are out. Pretty tough on Neser. I mean, I'm kind of expected, but pretty tough on him.
I was surprised by them not resting Boland for Melbourne.
Yeah.
Because the thing that's helped Boland and the bowling unit is the fact is that the first test went for 2 days and the second one went for 4 days. So they've only played 6 days of cricket. Right,
yeah,
basically.
6 out of a 10-day test.
So
played
yeah.
6.
So that's what's going to help him. But I thought it is tough on someone like Anisa who got 5 in the second innings
and won us the test.
So
but I think Australia, even though you're saying Boland, I think they're kind of like, let's go for the throat.
I think that's what they're thinking, and it's going to be interesting because when Cummins last year came in for the series against India, he didn't really come in all guns blazing, and that's when we lost the first test. Is he going to give a bit of momentum to England? It could. As I've said, with the Adelaide, Melbourne, and Sydney pitches, it will suit England a little more than a Perth and a Brisbane.
You said that last week. You said a lot more pace would have, in Brisbane and in Perth would have got to the England batters, but this could help them a bit more going
and
Adelaide.
With bringing in Cummins, who, let's be honest, he's not match fit. Yes, he's match fit, but he's not match prepared for it. Because you can't be until you actually get into the game. So that's going to be an interesting thing. Stark, he's been dominant through the whole series.
Yeah, he's been the best bowler. I mean, it's probably the best I've seen him as well. He's always been a very good left arm bowler, but he's been consistent. It's something that he's always every now and then he spurns one out a huge wide or gives away a lot of runs in a couple of overs in a spell.
Yeah.
But he's been so good this series, and I mean he's had to be.
Yeah.
I mean our bowlers haven't been great. We've been using our 3-prong attack has been for a very long time Hazelwood, Stark, Cummins, and it's only been real. I mean, yes, Boland's been there and he's done really well, but it's been those 3 for so long. So Stark has had to step up without those 2, and he's done that really well. Now, in that first test, obviously Travis Head did save us pretty much. We were a lot better in Brisbane, but if we're going to go for the kill, we have to do it now.
Yeah.
I think if we let them win, they'll get some confidence up England.
Yeah, exactly. So
you think 3-0?
I think 2-1. I think maybe.
You think England jump back?
I think England come back. I really do.
I think they move to, what was it, Noosa in the
I think their mid series trip is going to help them. I think it will. I think this will reignite the series, and it'll be coming to what we all wanted in a way. Yes, we want to beat England 100%, but we've been wanting this for the last 6 months, and we've expected it to be a close contest. And I think this is going to give us that.
I think Australia go 3-0 up. I think this test is done in 3 days, and Australia win. I think Australia win in 3 days. So finally, we'll move to a bit of soccer news and the Premier League. Of course, we're moving into the silly season now. Games pretty much every single night. Did you see the game this morning?
The 4-4.
Did you watch any of it?
I didn't. I haven't seen the highlights or anything, but I know that. Yeah,
it was an absolute goal fest because no team wanted to play defense. It was terrible defense, and in the end, even though it was 4-4, it was kind of deserved that no one got a win out of this one. It was a really good game of soccer. Up pinging down both ends. Goalkeepers sucked. There was a couple of United goals that I'm not really happy with. One was an absolute terrible goalkeeping effort from Petrovic. Got headed into his net, headed down in front of him and hit his hands and ran through. That wasn't great. And then a free kick for Bruno Fernandes. Great goal, but probably shouldn't have been a free kick where it was. Other than that, it was a good game. Someone needs to play some defence in it though. But with that draw, it does move United up the table just a little bit. They could have jumped into the top 4 with a win, they would have jumped into 5th spot. With a draw, they move into 6th. Liverpool jumping into 7th spot, keeping their hopes of a championship alive. Not really. Arsenal jumping into top spot with City right behind them at the moment. So it's going to be interesting to watch. Wolves got away with it against Wolves though. If it was any other team, they would have got a 1-1 draw. They got a goal late to just jump back in front, luckily for them. Looking at other results, we saw Chelsea win 2-0 over Everton, the most inconsistent team in the Premier League at the moment. Really annoying, but good win. Liverpool winning 2-0 over Brighton. Ekitike proving that they shouldn't have even picked up Alexander Isak.
And and Salah coming back for his first game since the feud,
and now he's going to go out to AFCON.
Yeah.
Do you think he comes back to Liverpool?
No. Did you see how he finished it? He walked around the stadium and started celebrating. Well,
clapping,
congratulating the fans, but basically he's pretty much saying goodbye. Yeah. Like I'd be shocked if he's still there at the end of January.
Yeah, I think that the amount of money that's on his head right now, it's probably time that they just move him on for the cash.
Yeah.
I mean, because Saudi are going to give him over it's going to be 6 figures. It's going to be over 100 million. So it's going to be 9 figures. He's not going to get any more than that if he comes back. I don't think at that point. I think it's probably about time that Liverpool just cash out and let him go, send him off on a good note. Anyway, Burnley losing 3-2 to Fulham. Arsenal getting that lucky win against Wolves, I'll say. Manchester City, good win in a danger game against Crystal Palace 3-0. Nottingham Forest battering Tottenham 3-0.
It's really funny. I don't think it was Ange's fault. I will say that.
Yeah, I'm kind of starting to get to that point now.
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter if you change yeah, I think it's funny.
Yeah. Sunderland in the first derby against Newcastle in many years, winning 1-0. Sunderland are just continuing to show like a good team to promote, a good promotion sort of season so far inside the top 10, and if they can finish in the top 10, that'd be massive for them. Aston Villa kind of getting away with it against West Ham 3-2. Brentford 1-1 draw against Leeds United, who have really improved in the last 10 days.
Dominic Calvert-Lewin,
4 games in a row he's got a goal.
Yeah.
Everton fans will be sitting there saying, what the fuck? He was one of the most useless bastards on the field for so many years, and now he's suddenly scoring for fun. And then that last game, like we mentioned, United versus Bournemouth 4-4. So a couple of big games coming up in next week. We've got Newcastle up against Chelsea. That's a big one. Sunderland against Brighton, pretty big for the middle of the table clashes. City simply have to beat West Ham. I think that's pretty simple. Tottenham up against Liverpool. Interesting game. Liverpool very inconsistent. But
same with Tottenham.
Yeah, same with Tottenham. But Tottenham haven't been doing well at home. So they're back at home in this one. Arsenal up against Everton. This is at Everton. So interesting game for them because Arsenal have kind of dropped off a little bit, I would say.
They're playing well enough to get the 3 points at the moment.
That's pretty much all they're doing though. Leeds up against Crystal Palace. So Leeds have shown some improvement. I think that will be an interesting game. Aston Villa up against United. Aston Villa right now, they're the dark horse. They are right up there in the race. If Arsenal continue to drop off, City, I'm still not convinced about Manchester City.
No, because it's Haaland and nobody else. That's basically helping them. And the thing with Aston Villa is that it's actually Morgan Rogers scoring at the moment. Ollie Watkins is just in the background. And if Ollie Watkins gets going, as you said, they're a dark horse to win this title.
Honestly, right now, yes, it's City and Haaland, but between Arsenal and Aston Villa, if the striker of either of those teams goes off, starts to get goals, Gyökeres or Watkins. If one of them starts going, they're going to win the title.
Yeah.
Because Ollie Watkins, we've seen in years gone by, he has been pretty much not a lone hand, but he's definitely been that one guy that's been able to get goals for Aston Villa consistently. If he can improve, or if Gyökeres can start scoring goals for Arsenal, I think it really gives them a huge chance of knocking off the title. In the last game of the round will be Fulham up against Nottingham Forest. Yeah. So interesting games coming up. Now looking at the table, Arsenal still hold top spot, 2 points over City. And then in third spot, Aston Villa are 33 points. So it's a 3-horse race at the moment. Chelsea are in fourth spot with 28 points. But the inconsistency of Chelsea, I don't trust it. Especially Chelsea in December. You can't trust Chelsea in December.
Yeah.
So it's going to be tough to see how they go. Crystal Palace, that loss against City didn't help. They needed to play better. At home, you kind of see that they wanted... You at least need to scream a draw.
Yeah.
They're sitting in fifth at the moment with Manchester United, Liverpool... and Sunderland all on 26 points. Very interesting, watch that. Everton, I don't think anyone would have seen this coming a while ago, especially from last season, but they're in ninth spot, doing really well under David Moyes. You've got Brighton in 10th, Tottenham in 11th. I can't believe they're so bad. Newcastle are in 12th after some improvement. Bournemouth in 13th. Can you believe this team was in second like 2 months ago?
I know, yeah.
They've dropped right off the pace. Fulham are in 14th, Brentford are in 15th. 16th is Nottingham Forest. 17th is Leeds United, even though they've shown some improvement. And right now in the relegation zone, we have West Ham on 13 points, Burnley on 10 points, and then Wolverhampton still with the 2 points. Imagine if they got a point off of Arsenal. That would have been insane.
Yeah.
I watched half that game as well. They weren't that good.
Well, yeah, if Wolves got the draw in that game, I'll just take just relegate us now. We'll just take that as our win of the season. We're champions. We got a point off. We got 2 points off Arsenal.
Yeah, exactly. That would have been massive if they did. Now, I think a lot of people brought up the fact that like this has been one of the more closer seasons we've seen in Premier League history in some time, because between fourth spot and 15th, there is 8 points difference. It's a very close race, and if you go even closer, between 13th and 5th, there is a 5 point difference. So it's a very close race. Right now, I think it is a 3-horse race. Aston Villa are my dark horse. They're doing really, really well. They've been one of the most formed teams of the competition in some time. They've won their last 5 games, and they look really good. Now, City have won 4 of their last 5, so they're by no means playing poorly. But it just feels like you said it's Erling Haaland, or you just put the book. You basically can't score. They've got barely any goals from anyone else. Phil Foden's been pretty good. Shirky's shown some signs. After Reinder's first game of the season, where he jumped out of the scene and looked amazing, hasn't really done a lot. Their defense is very shaky, and their goalkeeper he's saved a lot, Donnarumma, but they're not really looking that good. In Arsenal's form, they won 3 of their past 5, but that win against Wolverhampton wouldn't have happened if it was against pretty much any other team in the comp.
Yeah.
So right now, it still feels like Arsenal's to lose, but we're still in December and they're starting to drop off, which would have a lot of Arsenal fans pretty scared right now.
Yeah.
But anyway, guys, that's pretty much all we've got for this episode of the Boundary Riders podcast, the last episode of the year. Thank you so much for the support throughout 2025. Make sure to join us next year. No, I got the joke in. How good. We just lost all our followers. So thank you for watching this episode of the podcast. If you did enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe over on YouTube. And over on Spotify, make sure to leave us 5 stars and make sure to follow, as you will be notified of the podcast every single week. We'll be back in the first week of January. So we'll catch you all then. Have a good Christmas. Have a happy New Year.